Welcome, everyone.
Hi.
So good. Everyone's joining in. Amazing. Fantastic. Good to see everyone. If you can have your video on today, we love that. We love being able to see everyone. So if you don't want to have it on, you're eating lunch or something like that, totally fine as well. But if you can have it on, amazing. You will notice that you are on mute because we'll be leading today's training, Alana and I. Just as we gather, we'd love everyone to post where you are in the world right now and what you do creatively. Right, where in the world you are and what you do creatively. If you can just post that into the chat, just as we gather. Seeing lots of familiar faces here and also lots of new faces here too, which is fantastic. I love that. Awesome. So where are you? Just sharing into the chat. Where are you in the world? And what do you do creatively? I'm actually in Wellington, New Zealand right now. And Wellington's actually the capital in New Zealand, those of you that didn't know that. I'm from New Zealand originally, and I'm actually here for a couple of months. I tend to spend most of my time more in the Americas, a lot of time in North America, as well as Europe too. But I am in New Zealand for once. Where are you, Alana? I see snowy Toronto.
Yep, snowy Toronto. It's snowing today, nice and cold. Yeah, finally getting a Canadian winter.
There we go. It's always a bit strange because it's like the opposite season here. So I was in, North Carolina for Thanksgiving and it was like starting to cool down, although not too cold there. And then I came directly to New Zealand and it was like summer. So it is very warm here. This is all in centigrade, but 30 degrees here. So I'm not sure what that is in Fahrenheit, those of you that run by Fahrenheit, but it's pretty warm. It's pretty warm here, which is good. So I love it.
Yeah.
And from the future here as well. We always have a laugh about that too, like around like New Zealand is a whole day ahead. So it's actually Wednesday here, everyone in New Zealand. So Wednesday's looking good. It's going to be a good Wednesday for everyone. So there we go. I love it. Love seeing where everyone is at. We've got some people from all over Hungary, Greece, amazing. Hey, Leila, artists. Yep. Amazing. Utah, Toronto, Germany, amazing. Central Coast. Awesome. We've got people from all over today. I love it. So if you've just joined us, fire what you do into the chat and where you are from. I think we should get underway. Let's dive into it. Elena, over to you.
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Elena McCarthy, and I am an illustrator from Toronto, Canada, and I have 20 years experience doing the creative thing. I do editorial work, marketing, ad work, lettering, picture books, book covers, murals, a little bit of everything. So I also have a lot of experience in terms of different commercial creative fields. So I was freelance with an agent straight out of school, and then I was in office as a senior graphic designer. And then I rose in the ranks a little bit too much, became less creative. So I left and I went back to my solo freelance career running my own business. And that's what I'm doing now, have been for 5 years now. Some of my clients include Taco Bell, Absolute Vodka, Disney Pixar, Nickelodeon, and many more. So I ended up reaching out to Logan last spring, I think, because I felt I had just plateaued in my business. I didn't know what to focus on. I didn't know how to actually move the needle. So within his course, I ended up setting a goal to have a 100K year, which I did not think I could reach, but I am proud to say that I reached it and I am now a six-figure creative. Woo! So Logan's 3-month program was completely instrumental in getting me there. It helped me work on my mindset, my confidence, what offers to really focus on and lean into, how to find new clients and market myself, and how to take actions that move my business forward rather than letting them sit on the back burner like I usually would. And I think that's all about me. And on to you, Logan.
Amazing. Honestly, I love it. And just so great to, reconnect with you as well, Alana, since you did the program. I'm going to briefly share a little bit more about myself. I know some people are familiar here, but there's some people here that I definitely don't know as well. So it's so great to connect with you. So my background is that I am, yes, originally from New Zealand. I had my own creative business for 11 years. I was in the live event space, so quite wacky, quite different. Performers, characters, dancers, actors, fire, all sorts of really interesting things. And really early on in that journey, I also got involved in education. So I ended up studying entrepreneurship, doing my entrepreneurship masters, because I've always loved this place of creativity and business and really bridging the gap between the two. So I started basically teaching, lecturing part-time for universities in New Zealand, and also public programs too. I did that for quite a number of years, and it was a bit of everything. It was like lecture halls, it was on stage, it was one-on-one, it was big groups, it was online, small groups, everything you can think of there, and primarily working with creatives across a bunch of different programs as well. And obviously things evolved as they do, and eventually I started helping people to grow their business. I kept on basically having people, like many people here, I'm sure, that were like, hey, I don't need to go to university, but I do need help with the business side of my creative business. So that's where I started actually doing more of that coaching, mentoring work, and that evolved into what I do now with Flame Entrepreneur. When I then sold the creative business, I then went full time into that to help more creative people. So primarily, we actually work with people mainly in Europe and North America. They're kind of the primary areas. Surprisingly, we almost never work with people from New Zealand, and I don't actually spend that much time in New Zealand myself, although I happen to be here right now. In terms of the people we work with, kind of broken into several groups. Group one are like, hey, I'm early stage, I'm trying to figure this stuff out. I'm maybe I've had the odd client or done some work here and there paid, but I really want to turn this into a proper business. Maybe there's a day job you want to leave as part of that too. So that's group one. Group two are like, hey, I'm doing it, I'm maybe full or part-time in the business already, but it's not really sustainable. I need to make it work financially. Maybe I'm pivoting what I do within the business. So that's kind of the middle group there as well. And then we work with people who have been doing this for a lot longer, right? So people like Elena, who are like, hey, I've been doing this for 10 or 20 years, but I need some more direction from here. Yes, I also want to do things like increase the revenue, focus on the right things, find more time outside the business as well, and those sorts of things there. So you can see, we do work with lots of different types of people within their journeys. We also occasionally work with people with large followings as well. About 10% of people we work with have over 10,000 followers on Instagram. Most don't, right? So 90% of people we work with, have smaller followings, under 10,000 followers, which there's lots of ways to build a business. And we're going to be talking about this today. Instagram's one of them, but there's other ways within that too. We're going to talk about the marketing stuff there. Everyone we work with is in the visual creative space. So primarily that means illustrators, graphic designers, muralists, and there's obviously exceptions to those rules as well. We've worked with the odd photographer and videographer, interior designer. We've had different people in the visual creative space as well. I love it. So that is a bit of a download about myself. We're going to be diving into a training all about marketing today. Now, some of you may have seen this in some of the marketing we put out for this webinar, is that we are giving away 3 freebie calls with me. They're going to be 30-minute coaching calls with me to 3 people that are either watching the recording or here live. If that's something that's interesting for you, we'd love you to fill in the survey. I'm going to drop a survey link, pop it in the chat right now, pop it open, you can have a look. Takes 5 to 10 minutes to do. It's pretty quick. You're going to learn a bunch from just doing it. Honestly, everyone always says that. They're like, wow, it was really useful doing that. And then we'll just be going through and picking 3 people. We'll also be picking a whole bunch of extra people to get on calls with Paul from my team. He's our creative business specialist on the team as well. So he'll get on some calls in addition to the calls with me there too. So would love to connect with some of you during the course of the next few weeks. That's available there. Would love you to do that survey in the next few days if possible. That would be awesome. Amazing. Okay, cool. So how to market your creative business. This topic here is absolutely essential. And just to kind of get you all thinking about why are we running a webinar on this topic? The reason for that is that is the problem that people face the most. Right? There's lots of things that can get in the way around growing a business, starting a business, those things there. But marketing is one of the biggest ones, because ultimately to have a business, you need to have paying clients. And often what we see is that creative people are very, very good at their craft, right? Everyone we work with, we're always like, oh my goodness, they're absolutely incredible at what they do creatively. The struggle is often not that, right? It's actually the business stuff, right? It doesn't come as natural to many creative people, right? It's not as interesting as the creative side. So therefore, many people tend to lean away from that business stuff into the creative stuff. And a lot of people are looking at their creative stuff and their work going, maybe it's not good enough. No one seems to be contacting me. No one seems to be paying me. I don't know what's going on here. Maybe I'm not good enough at what I do creative. That's one of the big messages that people think. And we see it again and again and again. We get to see everyone's incredible work. And generally, that is not the problem. Look, occasionally, sometimes we say to people, look, there is some work to be done here. Maybe they're earlier stage in their career, for example. Most of the time, that's not the case. Most of the time, they're incredible at what they do creatively, but they're struggling with the business stuff. They're not thinking about it. They're waiting for people to come to them. Hey, I'm putting some stuff out there, but you're being more reactive than proactive. And this is a big shift from thinking about yourself as a hobbyist, right? Creative hobbyist to a creative business owner. There is the business stuff to do as well, right? It's called a business, it's creative business. So therefore, yes, we need to focus on the creative side as well as the business stuff, right? The business side as well. So this webinar, we're going to be really diving deep into these things as well. Most people, when I chat to them early on, when we're looking at whether we can help them, sometimes I'll say, what do you do to market your business? And the amount of people that blush when I ask that question, and they're like, well, Logan, I kind of do this and I kind of do that. And then sometimes when we dig into it a bit more, I'm like, I don't even think you're kind of doing that, even the things you think you are doing, right? And, obviously we're, fully in support here and we totally get it, but just really acknowledging everyone here, have a think about what you're currently doing to market your business. It's probably not enough, right? And the idea of doing more to market business probably feels overwhelming and scary and ugh, right? Marketing. I mean, the word marketing is just like ugh, right? We were having a conversation with a client, one of the clients the other day, and we were laughing about how, like, yeah, the words marketing and sales make some people want to throw up in the corner. Ugh, marketing and sales. I just want to focus on the creative stuff. It is an essential part of it. I think we should rebrand some of the stuff. Marketing is really just sharing, right? That's all it really is. Getting more of the amazing work that you do out there to the right people. So we're going to dive in. The first thing that we wanted to dive into is why doing all of the things in marketing does not work, right? So there's a bit of a mentality kind of online. You kind of hear you have to be everywhere. You have to do everything. You have to be on all the social platforms. You have to be doing this. You have to be doing that. And that's really overwhelming. And ultimately, it doesn't work. Now, what's interesting about that is like where that advice is coming from. Most of the time, I see that advice is coming from people who have a larger business and a team, and they're saying you need to be everywhere. Well, they may have the capacity to be in more places because they have a bigger business and a bigger team. Their business also has to be bigger. They have to be marketing even more because they're paying all of these people as well. So we've just got to be very aware that focus is actually powerful when it comes to marketing. Even if you do have a team, even if you have grown the business, even then, focus is still powerful. You should not have to be everywhere. So what our recommendation is that you get really good at a core thing. Right? So really figure out and lean into what is going to be the core thing in marketing. This is something that we do with all the clients we work with, is help them to figure this out. Because you do not need to be everywhere, but you need to be somewhere. Right? So once again, I said the problem is most people are not doing much or anything around this stuff, but actually really leaning into one thing is really important. Now, typically for visual creatives, those one things tend to be one of the following. Could be Instagram, could be outreach, networking, relationship building, partnership, right? These are the core areas that we see. There's always exceptions to that, but generally it's one of those core areas that they can really lean into. And I'm not saying don't do the other things. You can still do the other things, and they're what we call supporting strategies, right? That you can do to a lower amount. But you do not have to post on Instagram every single day to have a successful business. You do not have to do cold email outreach to have a successful business. You do not have to go to networking events every single month to have a successful business. But you probably need to figure out one of those things to really lean into, because, well, you don't have to do anything, but we're talking about having a successful creative business. Therefore, focus is going to be really, really important to you. And, the way that we really look at it is that every client's going to be quite different that we work with. So some people, they're just naturally inclined to lean into a certain thing, maybe based on where they're already at or what's already working, maybe based on their personality. So for you, there might be something here where you're like, you know what, like, I quite like the idea of this. I really like the Instagram platform. Or people talk about how scary and hard outreach is. I quite enjoy that. I think it's great. I enjoy trying to find the people to connect to, writing up a customized piece of the email, creating templates, sending those emails, right? Some of you might be like, people like that, but some people do. At the same time, yes, we want to leverage the things that you're good at or attracted to. We also sometimes need to address and grow through the tough stuff, right? Grow through the things that are maybe not as natural, right? Because one of these things may work really well for you, but there's some blocks around that as well, right? So, and this is some of the stuff that we really, dig out when we're working with people is, yes, there might be some personality related stuff, type of business, but also there just might be some stuff in the way of a certain thing because of how they view outreach or how they view Instagram. I think everyone gets frustrated with the Instagram algorithm, but there's still plenty of opportunities to grow your business using Instagram. But you don't have to. There's also other opportunities within this too. So, that's a big one here to really focus on is you do not need to be everywhere, but you need to be somewhere, and focus is going to be really, really powerful. I'd love to hear, your thoughts around this, Alana, in terms of, your learnings and your growth in the space as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think when I left my day job and I wanted to kind of redefine my style, I posted it everywhere, like Behance and you know, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, X, whatever it's called now. And it was very exhausting. And I wasn't really getting the traction for the time that I was putting in. So after taking the course, I kind of figured out where my clients hung out and I focused on those. So I focus a lot on Instagram. Um, LinkedIn has been really great. I don't think it's really saturated with artists, so it's kind of interesting. Even I think our content really kind of surprises and resonates with the business people on there, which are people that are going to hire you anyway, right? So I think it's a really great thing to look for. Sorry, cat. I also do a lot of networking and email outreach as well. So I collect up names of clients I might be interested in working with. I put them on a spreadsheet and then I reach out to them and kind of track whether they opened the email, whether they got back to me, whether they were or weren't interested. Also for Instagram, I found a big thing was to kind of post like no one's watching, because I mean, the whole chasing the algorithm thing can be really, really frustrating. So it's just like, stop looking at the numbers, just post things, just get your stuff out there, just keep moving forward and just, yeah, go for it. But I find also Instagram really keeps me top of mind. Like I have gotten a lot of jobs through my own personal network, just knowing people in real life, and they end up knowing someone that needs an illustrator and they think of me first. So I think staying top of mind is really important.
I love it. I think, so many good things here for everyone to keep in mind and really lean into as well. And one of the things I love here is like this is real life stuff in action, right? I'm here sharing perspectives and teaching from what we see, but you also get to hear from Elena and like, here's the stuff that I'm actually doing that's worked and there's good things here. And, and the second kind of piece of this around this idea of the one thing is like how to focus that energy. So when I say one thing, it's really about focusing most of your energy on that one thing. So I talked kind of briefly about this idea of supporting strategies. You don't have to be everywhere. You do need to focus, but you could also be spending some of your energy elsewhere, right? So use that 80-20 rule, which is like, hey, I might spend 80% of my energy on something like outreach, but then we're going to spend 20% of my energy on other things. And even what Alana shared here is like testing some different things, right? Trying out, see if LinkedIn works, right? Trying this thing out, putting your information on some different sites. That certainly can be part of this equation and trying things. We've also seen that over time, sometimes that one thing will shift, right? So that one thing will shift for clients and they're finding, I have been really focused on Instagram and it's been working really well for so long. And then maybe over time it starts to shift. So if you're already doing a little bit of something else and you already know how to do outreach, for example, and you know what's involved and you have templates and things set up, you can always test that more, pivot into that more, test things out within that as well. Another thing I want everyone to be really mindful of here is that we need to be aware that are you growing your business or are you keeping your business just running? Because we hear from people, particularly people that have been in business for a long time, they're like, cool, like my business is all based on referrals and repeat clients. Right now, that is amazing, right? To have a business where you're getting referrals and you're getting repeat clients, Amazing. What we tend to see though is that if you're just relying on those things, you'll be kind of in cruise mode, and sometimes the business is slowly actually not dying, but it's slowing down, right? Because what's not happening is you're not bringing in the new opportunities, the new relationships, the new connections. So those things there might not be very proactive. You're like, great, I can just kind of keep in touch with past clients. I can, maybe encourage them to make referrals, those things there. But ultimately, the thing is, you're not going to be bringing in new people into the network. And also what's going to also happen is that some people won't repeat, right? So that's why being proactive, putting your message out there, connecting with new people is going to be really important. On the pricing side, the more you do this marketing, more relationships and connecting you do, means you can also just increase your prices. You're less reliant on a smaller group of people or even those past clients, because over time, you should be increasing your prices. Yes, with the past clients, but that is often quite difficult. So bringing new people into your sphere is also really, really important. I'd love to hear if you had any other kind of extra thoughts around this piece around the one thing in marketing within these areas here, Alana.
Yeah, for sure. I really like to experiment. So I like to try and lean into something quite a bit. Like right now, I'm kind of trying to lean into Instagram Reels. And I just try to see what kind of feedback I get from my audience, and that tells me whether or not I should continue on with it. So some places are a dead end, like Twitter, my stuff doesn't resonate so much, and other places, it's you kind of start to learn where to focus your energy.
It's what I love here. It's the learning, right? The experimentation. And, I don't see this very often, but my first degree, would you believe it, was actually in biotechnology, right? I have a biotech and genetics degree. Everyone's like, wait, what? You had a creative business for years. Now you're a creative business coach. Like, that makes zero sense. But one of the things that really installed in me was thinking like a bit of a scientist. And that's what you need to do in your business as well. So, and that's what Alana's talking about too, is like testing things, trying things. Not everything's going to work, but you're going to learn a lot from trying different things as well within this. So I love that. I sometimes forget it myself that I had that science background. It's a long time ago now, but I did that actually for 4 years, which is kind of crazy. So cool. We're going to now talk a bit about supporting strategies. But just before we do that, I would love everyone to share their Instagram link, right? So this is a great opportunity to connect with a bunch of other people. I'm going to share mine as well. Please don't share the @ tag. Please go to open a URL, grab that, copy that in, paste it in, just like I've done with mine there, because that means it's a clickable link. So everyone here can follow you, get you connected. This is a great way to connect with myself, with Lana as well. If you're not already connected, we would love to follow you all as well, too, which is fantastic. So just drop all the links. Amazing. Everyone's starting to add them into the chat there. And then once you've dropped your link, go through, follow everyone else, connect with everyone else, see what they're up to. This is part of it as well, is building that creative community. Amazing. Fantastic. All right. So we're going to talk about key supporting strategies. So you know how I talked about this idea of the core strategy, right? So you're like, okay, like Instagram is my thing. Well, you're probably going to not just do Instagram. You're going to need to have things that support the fact that you're doing Instagram. Or if you're doing outreach, what supports the fact that you're doing outreach? It's something that you can do at a lower level, lower focus. So for example, what we tend to see is having basic social media profiles set up elsewhere is a good thing that you can do, right? So for example, LinkedIn, we were talking about that. Even if you're not actively using LinkedIn as a place where you're posting, you're connecting with people, you're engaging, it's actually setting up a basic profile or updating it, right? Updating it as something you can do can be a really good thing, because it can actually build trust with people. Because some people will go like, is this a real person that I'm messaging here or talking to? And they might just go and check and they're like, oh, yep, they've got a LinkedIn page, even if there's not lots on it, they're not very engaged there. It's like, looks kind of up to date. Oh, okay, well, they do actually have an Instagram that they post on occasionally. Oh, interesting. They do actually have a setup over here as well. Now, I'm not saying you need to be on all social platforms, right? I'm not on Twitter, right? You don't have to be on Twitter, but actually go through and maybe set up some of the basic social platforms and post occasionally on, could be once a month or even every couple of months. Things like LinkedIn, things like Pinterest as well could be things to consider within this. And kind of on that, as I said, basic Instagram setup is definitely something we recommend for everyone we work with, right? And maybe you post on it once a week or even just once a month, because what's going to happen is that, yeah, like the other things, if you're sending an email, do email outreach, they're going to check up on you and be like, is this a real person? And if they can't find an Instagram profile or maybe even a LinkedIn profile, they might be like, I don't know if I should reply. So we definitely notice that if you have those things set up, it can really help you get those replies. So be very mindful of that. Email lists, right? Email lists are still active and alive, right? Building an email list, having an email newsletter, these are supporting strategies as well, right? You could do an email newsletter just once a month. All email newsletters start off with one person. It's usually your mum or your dad, and that's okay. But then you can build it from there. So, this is something that is really important, is to have these things in place. You're not going to always have them in place straight away, but these support your core strategies. Because someone might connect with you because they followed you on Instagram, but then if they're able to get on your email list, it means you're going to be able to stay connected. Or if you send a cold email and someone says to you, hey, this is awesome, they reply and say, I love what you're up to. This is really interesting. Now's not the right time, but we'll keep you in mind for the future. Reply to them and say, great, would you like to follow me on Instagram? Here's my link. Or, hey, do you want to sign up to my email list? Right. So that's a way to keep engaged with them as well, or keep them engaged with you. So just little things like this are those supporting strategies. Really, really important. Other things to keep in mind, having a website, right? Having a website. Most people here probably do have a website. I'm sure there's people here that are like, oh, I haven't done that. Once again, it's building that trust. It's building that social proof of, hey, this is a legitimate person. Look, it is possible to build a business without a website. It's been done occasionally for sure. But it's also a lot easier when you have somewhere to send someone, to build credibility, to put some more information about yourself as well. It doesn't need to be super complicated. It could start off with being a one-page website. I do recommend that you have what's called an offerings page. So this is like a services page, product and services page, to showcase what you can offer to clients. One of the big things we see is that many people have more of a portfolio, it's like a whole bunch of them. They're amazing designs and art, but you're like, but what does this person do? Can they do the thing that I'm looking for? So that's where, if you've got a very clear offerings page, it can be very, very helpful as well. Right. So, these are a few things to think about. One final one there is that it's a good idea to go to the odd networking event. Right? That's a great supporting strategy. Even if you're like, oh, I'm not really into the networking thing, I'm not going to go lots. Well, maybe see if you can go to something once a month. And it could be online or offline. And this all counts, everyone. So this is a chance to connect with people. You're connecting with people through Instagram. That's fantastic. Connecting with Alana and I as well. Yes, getting you out there, getting to know some other people. Also, maybe getting you practicing talking about your business. Right? That's going to be part of it as well. Even if it doesn't lead to something specifically or lead to a client, you're going to have practice in talking about your business, connecting with other people, hearing other people talking about their business as well. Amazing. We'd love to hear your thoughts around some of the stuff from your journey as well, Alana.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I thought the biggest change, because you were talking about websites, the biggest thing for me was I changed my website to not go directly into my portfolio. Instead, they land on the first page, which has a bit of about me, my offerings, the major clients I've worked with, invites them to see a sample of my work, but to click and see more. And what this does, I found once I did that, I started getting better clients and higher paying clients, because it really sets my value in their mind before they even see my work. So I thought that was a major pivot point for me. Also, an easy way to support, to do some other supportive strategies. If you're making what's it called? If you're making content and you're aiming it to Instagram, you can get some kind of service like Later, which will also push the same content at the same time on a calendar to LinkedIn, to Twitter, to Pinterest. So then you are spreading yourself, spreading a wide net, but with minimal effort. So really you're just posting on Instagram, but you're just throwing everything out to other platforms. I've been working a lot on my email list, because I got hacked actually, and I guess it's been a bit over a year, and I lost my Instagram, my Facebook, everything for my business. And it was completely devastating. And it made me realize how we don't own social media. So I think it's so important to grow your email list, have people that are directly interested in your work on there. And I've been doing that through leaning into lead magnets, like a free pricing guide, a guide on how to diversify your income as an artist, just valuable, helpful things for the creative community. And yeah, it's been going great so far.
I love that. It's such a good reminder to everyone around like the ownership here is like, yeah, you do not own, like, particularly Instagram, right? Like we've seen it happen where people have lost their Instagram. Like
Yeah,
it's been hacked,
that's
right? Absolutely devastating. It's been hacked, or Instagram's locked you out for some reason, even though you didn't do anything wrong. And this stuff does happen. So therefore, making sure, yes, these things like email lists is really, really important. Now, unfortunately, other things can happen with email lists as well. And therefore, diversifying in other places can be important. But just, once again, just like myself and Alana talked to, is like, well, you don't need to be doing all of these things. We're saying some of these things you can set up, get them running, do the basics, and then focus on one of those core things, which is good. I love that. So we're going to keep moving through this. We will have some time for questions at the end as well. We've had a few pre-submitted. So if you do want to add any questions into the chat now, you can, and we will, answer what we can. Look, the next one we wanted to talk about is basically around keep doing the basics. Look, marketing, there's lots of fancy stuff you can do. Right, we were talking earlier on in one of our client trainings about like segmenting your email list and how you could split it up into like a client list and a non-client list and more artists. It's a great idea. You can also do things even more complicated than that. And this is amazing. There's lots of interesting things you can do around marketing, but you've got to make sure you're doing the basics. Right? We've seen people who come up with really elaborate Instagram strategies or trying to really do this and do that, do complicated things. And then we're like, when did you last contact people you've previously worked with? And they're like, what do you mean? I've never contacted them. I've worked with them. If they need me again, they'll message me. We're like, no, you've got to, that is part of doing the basics. Like, you've got to stay in communication. Your next best client is probably going to be someone that you've already worked with, right? Because they already know, like, and trust you. They've already spent money with you. They are probably willing to spend more money with you because they trust you and they like the outcome. But you have to stay in communication with them, right? Even though they were like, that was amazing. You did such a great job. It was like absolutely incredible. And they're raving about you and they gave you a nice testimonial. You might think, well, great. They're just going to let us know. Well, no, they've got a lot happening in their lives and their business or whatever they're doing as well. They might be really important to you, but we've got to be, aware it might not be the same for them. They've got lots going on. So you've got to send follow-up, reconnect with them. Hey, 2024, here we are. I hope you're doing really well. Just wanted to let you know I've got some availability over the next few months. And it's not desperate. You're just saying, hey, I just wanted to let you know. Or even an update, or getting them on that email list, or see if they can follow your Instagram, because that's ways that they're going to keep front of mind. So yes, marketing is important. Yes, there's lots you can do, but make sure you're doing the basic stuff first, keeping in touch. Now, I'm sure some of you are like, well, Logan, but what if I don't have any clients yet? It's all very well if I have those past clients to follow up. Well, even people that have said no in the past, you can follow up with them as well, reconnect with them too, because they've shown some interest. Another thing you can think about in terms of the basics is your own network. Right? So if you haven't had any clients yet, it's usually going to be the easiest to sell or connect, promote within your own network. And that's not going to be necessarily your friends and family, right? It might be friends and family who are interested in doing things, but it's usually through them, the people that they know. It's that past colleague that you worked with in a previous job. Maybe it's them or someone that they know. So leveraging your own network is really important. And part of that is letting your own network know what you're doing. Hey, I'm growing my business at the moment. Just wanted to let you know what I'm up to. Telling them, because then they'll be like, oh, that's good. They're now a voice for you, right? They're now going, cool. They're probably going to be talking about you as well. Fantastic. What some people do is they try and build their business in like a silo. They're like, cool, I just want to build it. I'm not going to tell anyone what I'm doing because it's scary. It's scary letting the people know around you what you're doing. But we've got to be aware that it's part of that journey is telling those people, because that is going to be a really good place for you to find work. It's often very hard to have someone buy from you who's never heard of you before. Right? It happens all the time. You can definitely do that, but it's going to be hard. It's going to be harder than someone that knows someone that knows someone that knows you, because there's a level of trust that is transferred here as well. Right? So we've just got to be very, very aware that this is something that you need to do. Make sure you're doing the basic stuff. When you do work with a client, are you following up with them afterwards? Are you asking them for a testimonial, for feedback? And then the other basics, mindset, wellness. I think people overlook this stuff a ton. They're just thinking about, well, it's all about marketing, Logan. But I'm like, well, yes, in some ways, but actually, it's the foundational stuff that allows you to do the marketing. Part of that foundational stuff is self-care, looking after your wellness so that you can do the marketing. You do have the energy. You're working on building your confidence. You're working on changing your mindset, shifting your mindset from a place of maybe scarcity to abundance of, hey, I can do this. I can market. I can find people. I can make this work. All amazing stuff. I'd love to hear your thoughts around some of these things as well, Lana, because I know this has all been part of your experience too.
Yeah, definitely. I actually schedule in hot yoga mornings, Tuesday and Thursday. And although it feels like, oh, I should be working, I'm wasting my time, it provides me with so much relaxation and then clarity that I kind of work double time after I get back because it's like this great reset. So we really have to prioritize that kind of wellness stuff that you were talking about. But yeah, the basics, definitely tell family, friends, people at the schoolyard. I don't know, like I said before, I've gotten countless jobs through other parents at the schoolyard that are just following me even on Facebook and just keeps me top of mind. They think of me when they have a friend that needs illustration or a mural or whatever. And keeping in touch in terms of old clients and even new client outreach, make sure you follow up, like not even just once, like follow up several times, because I know even in my own inbox, I end up, things go past the main inbox and I completely forget about them. And everybody's busy, everybody's getting tons of emails. So just, friendly little follow up, like you may have missed my email, just reaching out, maybe do it two times, and then on the third time be like, hey, this is the last time I'm reaching out, maybe you're not interested, and who knows, it might get a response from them. But yeah, be persistent.
It's so important as like these things here, putting these systems in place, it's going to be absolutely essential to make sure you're moving your business forward. So look, in terms of the next point we're going to share, we've got one more I really want to dive into. It's around research marketing. And then we're going to dive into Q&A. We've had some questions pre-submitted as well. Research marketing is kind of a really interesting idea. Most people have not heard of it. It's basically where you are learning about what people need. Okay, so you're learning about what people need. You're doing the research part. So what I mean by that is that you are actually asking people what they need, right? The potential clients. So what this usually looks like is you're doing a survey. Right? You can create a survey in Google Forms and you can send that out to your network to learn more about what people need. It's pretty simple, right? Because part of what you need to do, whether you're early stage in your business, you've been doing this for years, is keep learning about what people need. Because you might be like, well, Logan, they need design. It's obvious. It's like, well, yes, but there's something deeper in place. Do they care about fast communication? Do they care about how you structure your proposal? What do they get frustrated about with working with other creatives? What are reasons why they wouldn't work with you or wouldn't work with another creative? Right. So this is where you can actually ask the stuff by putting together basically a pretty basic survey and putting it out to your network. So this is a basic questionnaire, very easy to do on Google Docs or Google Forms. What it's also doing is marketing to them. So research marketing is that you're also letting them know that you exist. You are sharing what you're up to and how you can help. And there's something beautiful in asking someone, what do they need? I would love to learn about what you need. Tell me more. What are the things that frustrate you? What are the things that you don't enjoy when you work with creative people? And then you get to go back to them and say, hey, by the way, I've actually taken your feedback and here's how I can help you. Right. So that's the marketing part as well. And you can even include a question, which is something around that saying, hey, might be able to help you. Are you potentially interested in exploring that? Happy to jump on a call. Happy to send you some information. Happy to connect with you. So it's a very non-pushy, non-salesy approach to just connecting with people, understanding what they need, and therefore actually potentially turning them into clients as well. And once again, even if they don't become clients, they become another node in your network, another node of people that could tell other people about what you do as well. So it's a pretty interesting concept, and there's lots of different ways to do it. I'm not saying you have to do a survey. This could actually just be about asking people in your own network what they need and learning about that. You're going to transfer those learnings to your own business. But also at the same time, they might be like, by the way, I'm actually interested in how you can help if you're solving these problems that I have, right? So, I'd love to hear kind of your thoughts around this approach as well, Alana.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, I did the research marketing module in Logan's course, and it was definitely very helpful. I'm starting to try to transition into more educational offerings because, of course, I've been at this 20 years and I have a variety of different perspectives on being a professional creative for that long. So I want to start sharing with the community, and the research marketing survey definitely let me know what people are struggling with, where they need help, where their weaknesses are. And I have kind of started to build my course. I'm going to be doing an online course, and I've started building my course around those kind of needs. And yeah, it's been great. And then I also get people on my email list that are willing to listen to what I'm saying.
It's so important. And like, once again, this is where it's an ongoing learning, right? And this is the important part of it, is like, anytime you're staying stagnant in the business, that's when you're not growing, and that's when you're not adapting, because these industries do change as well. People's needs change over time. Now, they don't change overnight, thank goodness, but things do change over time. So keep on learning. And this is the sort of stuff that Lana's talking about, and great ways to promote new things that you're doing, or learn about new things that you're considering doing as well. So I absolutely love that. We're going to jump some questions. We were pre-submitted a bunch of questions that we're going to fire through. If you do have a question, you can fire it into the chat. We may or may not quite get to it, but we'll do our best to get through as many of these questions. The first one here that we had sent through from Little Horse Illustration was how to find projects without an agent. Right. And this is kind of an interesting one. And we talked about this quite a lot. We had quite a few questions around agents and whether you should have an agent, or how do you find an agent, these sorts of things as well. And, I think a really important thing here is to acknowledge you do not have to have an agent to be successful. Right. We've got plenty of clients that don't have an agent that are very, very successful. Also, that could be a good tool that you could have. There we go. Alana herself. Okay. Also, some people find having an agent is amazing. Right? Raise your hand, those of you here that know of Cat Coke. Know of Cat Cocolette, my friend Cat. Yeah, there's a couple of people here, which is great. She loves having an agent. She like raves about having an agent. So for her, it really works. We've got other people that like swear against it, that are like, no, like I've had nightmare situations, it doesn't work, they didn't do the job, or whatever it is. And we've got people that are like, oh my goodness, amazing. Right. So just to really acknowledge, there's lots of ways to build a business. There's lots of ways to build a business with an agent or without an agent. One of the things I kind of don't like about the agency model is that you're basically passing the keys of your business to someone else. So what can often happen is you go, great, amazing, someone else is going to handle the marketing and the sales. So great. I don't need to worry about that part of it. I can just focus on the creative stuff. Sounds like the dream. The problem is now you've handed the keys to them, right? They're going to do their job. It could go really well, but if they're not, you're not going to have a business, and you're not figuring out what to do and what works. You no longer can do this yourself. So you've handed over the thing that is going to grow the business to someone else, and that could go well. It could not go well. Also, what tends to happen is you go, well, I don't need to do anything, so I don't do any of the marketing stuff myself. Even if you have an agent, yes, you should be doing a bunch of the things that we're talking about as well. They'll be doing their job, but you should also still be having an engaged Instagram. You could even be testing some other strategies, and that's going to help their work too. Now, in terms of the question itself, it really was around how to find projects without an agent. Obviously, we've talked about a lot of this during the call. I know this was pre-submitted, but this is where really leaning into figuring out that one thing to lean into is a great idea, right? So we are seeing cold outreach still works, right? Cold email outreach still works. So that could be something that you could really lean into. That's a way to connect with potential clients. Other things we've talked about, networking, right? Connecting with people online and offline. Also, what else can you do? You can build partnerships. Partnerships, in a way, having an agent or an agency is actually a type of partnership, but there's lots of other ways to build partnerships with other creatives. It could be around referring each other work. It could be around supporting each other. There's lots of different ways to build different types of partnerships in your business. And that's a great strategy too. In my previous business, we had a company that they would refer us performance opportunities occasionally, event entertainment opportunities. So they kind of were the place where we got found. It was actually a site that also promoted bands, like literally music bands, but also we were on there too. And it was great. There was a great relationship. They weren't really an agent, but they were a partnership that we had, and they flipped the ticket. They took a small percentage as well. And we kind of liked it because it just meant that was one of the things that we did to bring in work, but we didn't rely on that. That's a really important piece of that as well. Other things you can do, Instagram, DMs, you can actually use outreach. You can do outreach through Instagram, right? So direct messaging, that can be a great way to connect with people as well, right? In a way that, I mean, one of the things I actually love about things like direct outreach, whether it's through Instagram or through email, is that people can delete it, they can remove it, they can block you. If they're not interested, they can let you know. It's one of these beautiful things. You're not banging on someone's door going like, hey, like, I'm here, can I help you? It's like, no, like, it's very easy for people to disengage with you, and that's okay, right? And that's going to be part of it as well. It is a bit of a numbers game around this stuff. So we sometimes hear from people, tried cold email, Logan, doesn't work. How many emails did you send? I sent like 20. All right, well, unfortunately, you're going to probably need to send a few more, and we're probably going to need to look at what you're saying, what you're sending. There's probably some other supporting strategies that need to be put in place. But like with cold email reply, 10% reply rate's good. I'm not saying booking rate, I'm saying reply rate. Oh, that's a terrible number, 10%. So if you send 20 emails, you might get 2 people replying saying, oh yeah, we'll keep you in mind for the future. So part of it is that numbers game of, yes, doing more, sending more. Obviously, we've got to balance that with time and energy. We totally get that. But these things do work as well. I love that. We're going to jump into some other ones. So I just want to check, do you have anything else you wanted to add around that, Alana, before we jump to the next questions?
Oh, no, you covered it.
Amazing. I love it. We had a really good question sent in from Lindsay J around how to quote my worth. And this is like that pricing question, right? Which is like, how do I get paid what I'm worth? Lots of stuff to this. It's something we dive into a lot during our programs because like pricing is one of the things that people struggle with the most. And ultimately, if you get your pricing strategies wrong, you're going to really struggle to turn this into a sustainable business. And we sometimes talk to people that are like, hey, like I'm earning like 2 to 3K per month and it's going okay, but it's not really sustainable long term. I'm kind of just surviving here. But Logan, I'm already working like 40 hours a week, sometimes 60 hours a week, 80 hours a week to make that happen. I can't imagine doubling my time. So there's usually a few things at play in that sort of situation, but one of them is usually pricing, right? So actually increasing that pricing is a really important part of it. So pricing or quoting my worth is a really hard way to got it, because it's like, what are you worth? We've got to be aware that you're only worth what someone is willing to pay. So therefore, one of the big things is really around who are the people that are willing to pay what you're worth. And that might be really thinking about who are the types of clients that are willing to pay what you want to charge that you think you're worth as well. Right. So there's a lot that can come into this as well. There's a lot of self-growth that needs to happen around confidence. We really notice that if your confidence is low and you're like, I don't know, I'm not sure if I'm good enough, those things there, you're going to be quoting lower rates. So working on that confidence, that belief is going to really help you to increase what you can do around what you quote. Also, people are going to say no. Are you going to get no's? You're going to get a ton of no's. We were on our training earlier today, we were laughing about this concept of the no. So the no is like, get lots of no's and that'll lead to yeses. We had a client that was like, I'm just counting no's. I want to see if I can get to 50 people that say no to me. As in say no around, I send a proposal, I send a quote. Because if I'm getting lots of no's, it means I'm probably getting a lot more yeses. And I'm learning as I go. I'm learning about who needs this stuff, who isn't interested. Also, when we talk about the original question, how to quote my worth, it's also about making sure you're displaying your value, your worth. Right? You might think you're worth that, but how does the client? Part of growing a business, part of working with people is sometimes you need to educate them. Some of you might work with people that have never worked with an artist or designer before. They don't really know how it works. They don't understand the value. They don't understand the amount of time, energy, effort that goes into it. So part of your job might be to help them understand. Share with them a timeline. Share with them the stages. What's involved? What do you do? Do you do sketches? Are there chances for edits? What does that process look like? Are you going to review that? How long is the time frame? Like actually helping them see the journey and the process is going to make them go, wow, this is pretty valuable stuff. And there's a lot that goes into it. So helping them see the value. And some people just can't. Some people won't see the value, and that's okay. Maybe they're not the right fit for you. You might need to pivot to other people, the next person, or even think about who the people are that are willing to pay within that. So obviously a pretty deep one here around this stuff. Any other thoughts on this pricing stuff at the moment, Elena? I feel like we run whole pricing webinars on this stuff too. There's a lot here to it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I find like I've been doing a lot of book work, children's books and book covers lately, and I have kind of an email template that I set up that I send to each inquiry. And, I'll personalize the first paragraph, talk about their project. And then the next paragraph, I'll kind of go into like, here's what I bring to the table, like 20 years experience. I've worked for big clients. I list out all the stages of the project so they can see what they're getting, all the work that goes into the project, and awards that I've won for authors and such. And it really positions me as very valuable. And then I tell them the price, and it's kind of a little easier for them to swallow. I also have been increasing my price kind of every project because I have another book under my belt. I am worth more. People are hiring me. And I find once you start on that ladder, you don't go back. And it's weird because, you feel kind of squirmy in your stomach the first time you do it. And you're like, oh God, I'm going to lose this job. And then when someone says, oh yeah, sure. You're like, whoa, I just did that. I got away with that. That's amazing. And then you just keep playing with it and keep testing out, going a little higher every time. And yeah, it's gotten me to where I'm at. So yeah. And a lot of mindset
huge.
work too. Yeah. A lot
Yes.
of mindset work. Like you have to come in from don't go in from a place of scarcity. Like you have to think like, I have enough on my plate. I don't need this job, even if maybe you do. And just kind of fake it till you make it.
It's huge. It's absolutely huge. This stuff is like that. Fake it till you make it. Like, well, usually you are faking to make it to yourself as well. As like you're already ready for these larger things. We actually just a quick story that I think everyone here would enjoy. We had a client yesterday on one of our trainings basically shared that what was happening was in their business they were always quoting really low rates. They just seemed to always have this number in their head, right? Of like, hey, I don't know, I just keep charging this number. It's like a number I keep going to. It's my automatic number. And we were saying like, honestly, that you're not going to build a sustainable business that way. Like how about you double that number? Even doubling that number wasn't really going to be enough to build a sustainable business long term, but like, let's get you out of that. Right. We had a big conversation around that, around the pricing and the confidence side of that as well. And what they did after that meeting was they actually went, screw it, you know what? I'm going to just charge way more. I'm going to charge, it was like 10 times the price. They were like, whatever, I've got nothing to lose then, sounds like if I can't get this stuff right, I'm not going to have a sustainable business. The client said yes. And they were like, oh, I don't know if this person here is even going to pay the small amount that I am offering. They literally multiplied it by 10 and they said yes. Right now, yes, the amount they were originally offering was really, really low. So times 10 of a really, really low number wasn't out of this world, but it's like suddenly they had increased it a lot. Right. So this stuff is real. This stuff does happen, but it's often related to confidence. Now, of course, that client might have said no, and they might have gone, that was a terrible experiment. Why did I do that? But we do need to experiment with pushing pricing up, not just always pushing it down, lowering it, because it's really interesting. There's always going to be people out there that are charging more than what you are charging. There's always going to be people out there that are charging less than what you're charging, no matter what you're charging. Right. Kind of a crazy thought, but it is very, very true. There's all sorts of things there. Got another question we got pre-sent in, which is wondering if I should start marketing my work now or wait until I have a more defined style. I love this question. I think this is really, really good. You probably already know my answer to this, which is that, look, the quicker you can start getting yourself out there is going to do two things. One is you're going to get in front of people and you're going to get the work. Two is you're also going to learn about marketing and what to do. Also, what's going to happen during that is you're probably going to figure out your style as you go. So it's not like, people kind of go, oh, I'm figuring out my style. so therefore I've got to figure it out and then I will start my business. No, the process of you running your business and doing that business is how you will do the work and figure out the style. Because part of it is probably you want your style to be impacted by, yes, your passions, your desires, things that you bring, but also it does need to have some influence from the outside world as well, in terms of what people are attracted to and interested in. And you can really take your own special source of your creativity, but also make sure it's matching with what people need. So yes, the sooner you can start doing some of the stuff, the better. And like, honestly, yeah, your early on Instagram posts, your early cold emails, they might be terrible, right? You might look back and be like, oh, terrible, right? I think everyone's got that. It's got an Instagram page. It's like, particularly people that have grown their Instagram, it's like if you scroll down far enough, you'll start to notice there's like some gaps. They've archived some stuff because they're like, oh, that was right at the start of my journey, right? Most people don't even ever scroll down that far anyway, so it's not even usually a big deal, but you can always archive it later. So I think that's just a really good thing to think about around this, is that there is value in taking small actions, getting started with marketing, building up your confidence around what to do, even if your first messages or the first stuff you do is not that great. I'm not saying put absolute rubbish out there. We want to be mindful, we want to do our best at the time, but that's how you will improve around this stuff as well. Alana, would love to hear your thoughts around this one too. I think there's just so much in this idea of perfection and whether we should wait, whether we should hold off. What are your thoughts around that?
Oh my gosh, just put it out there. Put it out there. Like, people also love a growth story. Like, they love seeing you grow as an artist. They love like cheering you on, and just learn through doing, really. I mean, yeah, you're always going to be improving. And I see a lot of people actually participating in Instagram challenges right now, where they take an old piece and they remake it into their current skills. And like, the growth is insane. So yeah, just get it out there, because if you're sitting there and you're not putting anything in front of people, you're not going to get any work. So take a chance.
Take a chance, and you're going to learn as you go, which is part of this journey. So I love that. Very, very cool. We are coming towards the end of our time, and we didn't manage to cover all of the questions that were submitted, but thank you for those of you that did share some questions. And I think we probably answered a bunch during the actual training too, which is good. So just a couple of reminders is that we do have that link. I'm going to drop that link again. This is for that freebie call with myself or Paul from the team as well. So, that's something there that would love, open that link. Would love you to check that out. We'll make sure it's in the email we'll send out with the recording afterwards as well. So you can click that there too. We'd love for you to do it today or in the next few days. That would be absolutely awesome. Even if you're not interested in a call or something there, check out the survey. You're going to find it really interesting. The questions it digs up, the things that you're thinking about are going to help you in your journey as well. Love it. Okay, cool. So we're going to wrap things up. That means that what we've got to do is we've got to get everyone sharing takeaways. So we'd love everyone to drop, what is one takeaway from today? What's one thing that you've found interesting, you've learned? If everyone can pop one thing in the chat, that would be amazing. This is going to help everyone here to consolidate the learnings, help you to consolidate what you've heard. If there's anything you're going to do differently or apply or try or action, you're like, I'm going to go do this thing, put it in the chat. Would love you to add that, just as we start to wrap up for today as well. Awesome. So things being shared here. Yep, absolutely. Thanks, Leila. Great information here. Be sure to do the basics first. Oh, such a good reminder, right? Such a good reminder. Ask for testimonials, Andrea. Absolutely. Confidence in yourself is key. Website structure, amazing. Confidence. Yes. Marketing is about staying top of mind. Yeah, that's a huge one, Gavin. I love that one. Update website with services. The services page, right? It's a pretty easy one to do. Add a new page. Or even just add it to your homepage, right? Could even put it up top. Yep, need to move towards networking. Amazing. Honestly, just so many good things being covered here. Keep adding things into the chat, everyone. We're going to wrap up for today. It's been a fun one, hasn't it, Alana? Have you enjoyed it as well?
Yeah, this was really great. Thank you, everybody, for being here.
Amazing. Hey, we're going to wrap up there. Lovely to see everyone, and we'll catch up soon. Hope to connect with some of you via the survey as well. Hey, take care, everyone. Have a lovely rest of your morning, afternoon, evening.